Welcome to a Tuesday night big show. I'm Pop Blender, and the one and only Matthew Matson is here hanging out once again on a Tuesday night. And I'm going to go ahead and put it out there. You've heard about the Acolyte, haven't you, Matthew?
Yes. I think most people have, and all the whinging and wincing and cheering and jeering and everything else that goes along with it.
A lot of whinging, a lot of wincing, a lot of power. Did you know the power of one, the power of two, and the power of many?
I love the memes that have been flying around today with the failure of one, the failure of two, the failure of many.
God. Oh, listen, far be it from me to take delight in the failure of others. I don't normally do that, to be honest with you. But yes, we I don't even want to say call it a victory. I've seen that going around,
No, and people are crediting you must
victory.
be taking a victory lap or whatever. It's like, no, I want this stuff to be good. I genuinely want it to be good. Yeah. But when it's garbage, I'm going to call it out for being garbage.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if something is good, I'll be the first one to tell everybody. I will scream to the mountaintops. When I'm at work, working the bar, I will bring up TV shows. I will talk about something I've watched recently. I have a few people who come in and let me know about different stuff they're checking up on too. Yep. But I wouldn't call it a victory lap, and we'll get into it here in a few minutes. But yes, there was some Acolyte news, some big news, if that's what you want to call it. But we'll get into that a little.
We can talk about the Snow White trailer too.
Absolutely, and here's the thing about trailers. So just to get it out there. So my stream on Friday night, I showed the Australian breakdancer, and I know that after searching for footage of just the original video, they are working really hard to make sure you can't find it.
And they are scrubbing the internet for all references to it. They're demonetizing channels.
Yes.
They're striking stuff down. And it's funny to me that they're going so hard to protect this woman. And for whatever reason, I mean, it's one of the most ridiculous things that's ever been put on the world stage.
Yeah, no, exactly. So much so that I think they're not going to bring breakdancing back into the Olympics in 4 years.
So they took out karate to put in breakdancing.
Right.
What we get.
Yeah. And listen, wait, a valiant effort, and everything. Look, it was funny. You can't help it. It was funny to watch, especially considering on a world stage like that.
Yeah, Punk and I agree. It's not really a sport. I mean,
no.
I know there's competition ballroom dancing and all this other stuff, but it's not really an Olympic type of sport. It's something that is so subjective. It's hard to judge technical expertise and all that kind of stuff. But
I agree. Unlike, gymnastics or other sports that have a structured scoring system and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, the subjectivity of it, it's really hard. I agree to call it a sport. And so nonetheless, my point is that Friday night, right after I got done with my stream, I got a message on YouTube that said the stream had been blocked.
Yep.
It had been blocked, and it was the International Olympic Committee that blocked my stream. Did not get a strike or anything like that. But and so I had to edit out 3 parts of the video. Now, what's funny about it is after I edited the 3 parts out, it didn't change the video.
Right.
You can still see that segment. So I'm not exactly sure what happened there, but I did what they wanted me to do. And that's that. But nonetheless, so when it comes to trailers is what I was going to say.
Yeah.
When it comes to trailers, there's a fine line to walk, and companies like Amazon that previously were not having a problem with people with trailers now, doing them, reviewing them, showing them, whatever. Well, now that Amazon Ring of Power season 2 is coming out, they started to crack down on channels because they knew the backlash was so bad.
Yeah, well, here's the thing though. I mean, if you have the wherewithal, you can fight it and win easily because it's all fair use. It's all public stuff. It's all transformative.
Right.
It's all those things that you can say that it is, that you're not copying something or stealing something. It is commentary. It's parody. It's whatever. There's so many laws that are in YouTube's favor on this one that they can do whatever they want, but they're going to lose in the end if an investigation is done.
Yeah, no, you're right. And a lot of times, if people have the means or they do put up a little bit of a fight, a lot of times you've seen larger channels, especially they get people
Yeah.
to inundate the powers that be with messages and stuff like that, and tagging them and whatever, and so yeah, yeah, the Snow White trailer, I'll be glad to check it out. We can pause it every few seconds. Like I said, to
Oh,
you
I don't know that we have to watch it, but we can talk about the ratio.
Oh, yeah, we can definitely do that. And before I get to chat, which I'm about to, I was telling Matthew, because this has really been really kind of a slow news week. We've kind of hit the doldrums of the movie business for the month of August. That's when a lot of movies get put out to pasture. Um, and so I said, hey, you know what? We'll free flow this. I've got a few topics, but we may delve into some of Matthew's photography. I know for a lot of people that are in the chat and from the areas a lot of y'all come from in particular, it might be very interested in hearing about some of that or some of your technique or lighting or whatever that you like to do. And so I said, hey, let's kind of just take it easy tonight. We're not going to just rapid fire stuff, and we'll just have a little fun and cut up, look at some
Yep.
Twitter posts about the Acolyte, and talk a little bit about the X-Men 97 controversy that's going on at Disney. But right now, let's hit up the chat and see who all's here. I know that
Got a good crowd tonight. I like
yeah,
it.
man. Yeah, absolutely. Daredevil Dave was the first one in, got that first like biatch. I'm like, how far are we into the stream? I don't, how many minutes are we before you can cut loose? And don't worry about it, Dave. With the free advertising, he's working on getting subscribers, and I'm all about that life, man. So you go get them, buddy. Anybody you can grab, you go ahead and grab them, dude. I love it. Mython, the Python, still at work, and I appreciate you at least checking in, catching the replay here in just a little bit. And I know Mython will smash that like button. And anybody
He's
there
a good
that,
dude.
yeah, man. Anybody that hasn't, throw the like up for us if you can. I'm sure you all have by now. I would have no doubt about that.
Nope, two of you haven't.
Uh-oh. That could have been somebody that popped in and popped out. It happens a lot, obviously, Ronnie, a trick shot, the master, is here just for the Sydney Sweeney picks. I took a cue from Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers and Gary from Nerdrotic, and I just started putting random pictures of Sydney Sweeney up to remind people of the streams. And I hope you guys enjoy that because I know I do.
He brought up such a good point today too about the difference in character when you are in a bomb, if you're in a TV show that's a bomb or a movie that's a bomb, and the difference in character between Sydney Sweeney, who earned so many points in the fans' favor with her reaction to the Madam Web stuff, versus the Acolyte.
Yeah, right. It's how you roll with the punches, as David Lee Roth once said. Yeah, it's how you roll with the punches. And actors and actresses make a lot of crappy stuff, right? They make some good stuff, they make some crappy stuff, and being able to know the difference and not take it too seriously.
Yeah, not all of it is on them, right? I mean,
100%. You're right.
It's the script, it's the direction, it's the people they're working with. So it's not always their fault, even though they may look terrible on screen. You can't always blame them, but if they have a pattern and you see it multiple places and times, then you can say, okay, well, maybe that is true then.
Yes, and I think as far as a pattern, yeah, if you see somebody in multiple different movies or shows or whatever, and you can tell their acting chops, it's not always the director, right? But
Yeah.
they are told many times how to direct or how to act. And
Yep.
when someone says that's a good take, then that's on the director to be okay with that. So yeah, man, you're right. It is all in how they take it, right? The actors take it after it's done. And I actually have an interesting comment from Michael Keaton too about something that never got shown and will never be shown.
Yeah.
David R is here too. Hey, David, good to see you, man. Obviously 3-star draw.
What's
Let's
up?
effing go, baby. And if anybody was able to check out his whale video down at his property, it's
That was
pretty
cool.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, I love it. And frostbite, in the whale taking a vacation from the
Wait,
snow.
he had to put frostbite in there. I mean, frostbite's always in our chats.
I know.
We
I
appreciate you,
know.
brother.
And it's funny because it's the first thing I thought of when I saw it. It's not the figure.
Exactly.
It wasn't the figure.
Right.
And then Punk with Toys dropping by says hello, fools. Yep, I will answer to that. I'll answer to a lot of things. Wraith Mace, the Hammer.
What's
Hope
up,
you're
brother?
feeling
Hope you're doing
good,
well.
buddy. Yep, absolutely. And definitely can't wait till you're back on the interwebs, streaming and doing your thing, buddy. Thank you so much, man. Eric Thurman, boy howdy. I hadn't heard that in a while. I love it. Let's see here. Let me scroll down. There he is, the one, the only. Frostbite. What's up? How you doing? Love you, man. I appreciate our friends in the land down under. They make some of the funniest content, but they're the live streams that I have watched.
Oh yeah, they're good.
Oh my God, I am cracking up, dude, like the whole time. And a very good chemistry between him and Shark Eyes and Ronnie. Just great chemistry.
Adam's a good dude.
Yep. A lot of fun. And real quick, let me see. I should have started, but I saw one comment that I wanted to highlight. Let's see.
Hey, just curious, are you guys down in Australia even allowed to say ray gun anymore? I mean, is that a banned word now?
Man, no kidding. And what's funny is because you said that, that's the comment I wanted to highlight. Ray gun. Listen, man, here's the reality of that situation.
Now, I didn't listen to her explanation because I know she put out an explanation, but did anybody listen to that?
You know what? Honestly, I quit paying attention to anything after the fact. I only paid attention to the master class in breakdancing that was on display. And yes, I know that there was some online vitriol and whatnot. Look, man, I don't know how anybody could get that upset.
Yeah.
Like, okay, it wasn't the greatest performance. Yes, it's in the Olympics, but it's a new sport. I don't know how anybody could send someone like hate over that. There are, people out there who are that ridiculous, but I just don't know how anybody could take it that seriously. And I'm not talking about her. I'm talking about people that would send messages and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't, I mean, you might learn a thing or two, if you know what I'm saying. A couple moves here or there.
And then you throw your back out, and then you got to go see me.
Well, yeah, then I come see you. That's right. Travel down to see you. Yeah. Oh, my God. That's great, though. You see, everything kind of symbiotic, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Everything's symbiotic, just like the Jedi. And speaking of which, we're about to get into that. So anyway, and I love this from Punk, actually. He says, Maury Povich, the results have come back and you are not a sport. Yeah, nah, I can't. But and 3-star says she's only 36. Yeah. But is she a teacher or
yeah? Well, she's got her PhD, right? We all knew that.
Right. Yeah.
And the only reason she would do that is because she wanted to teach interpretive dance at school, at a university or something like that. I don't know.
Oh my goodness. All right. So so far so good through the chat. And so I guess we'll get to the biggest news of the day. I'm going to pull up this Deadline article here. And some of you may have heard, some of you may not have heard. Yes, it's true. The Acolyte season 2 got canceled. I know there's a lot of tears out there. I know that right now some people are going to turn the shower on and sit down in the shower and cry themselves maybe to sleep. I don't know. But yes, the word came out that the Acolyte will not continue. Lucasfilm is opting to not proceed with a second season. Matthew, did you see this coming?
I think everybody saw it coming after episode 2 or 3 of that series. And what's funny is Disney has never canceled anything. They just don't ever talk about it anymore. This is the first one that they've come out and said, we are canceling this. So there's some funny business going on there. But it's a clear statement that they're done with this nonsense.
Yeah, I would say that the numbers bear that out. I don't have to bring them up to know. It kind of gives an idea right here. And this article is pretty much cut and dried. It's not shilling for or against. It's just stating the facts. And the facts is that, yes, it has a 78% on Rotten Tomatoes with critics, but obviously we know that the fan score hovered around 15 or 13 or 12 or something like that.
Well, and then the viewing numbers too, because word of mouth works both ways, right? So good or bad, and nobody was talking about it, or if they were talking about it, they weren't saying anything good about it, and so nobody watched it.
No.
So it won't be another Willow because it's Star Wars, so they won't remove it from the platform just yet. But it is taking up server space that they will have difficulty affording if they don't completely switch over to Hulu and make Disney Plus Hulu again.
Agreed. And you saw what happened with the Willow series, that they, it was such low viewership that they just decided, you know what, we don't even want to pay for the servers for people to tune into it. Yeah. And they just completely took it off. And I wonder what something like that does with actors as far as, residuals or any kind of.
Well, exactly.
And, anything after the fact. I don't know how that works.
Well, because after Scarlett Johansson's lawsuit against Disney because of digital streaming rights, where she didn't make any money off of the Black Widow movie because it wasn't in her contract for streaming rights, because she thought it was going to go to theaters and then it didn't do well in the theaters or whatever. So she only made stuff off the box office. So all the contracts are different now. And I'm sure they try to get a piece of the streaming rights, but that has direct proportion to viewership. And it's got to be minuscule amounts of money. I mean, because they're losing money on the streaming service. They were supposed to be profitable by 2024, and they are not even close to being profitable. And for what I understand about how streaming services work, they never will be profitable. Paramount Plus is folding. They're shutting down all their studios and everything. I don't know if the app's going to stay up or if they're just going to keep combining things together, or they're streamlining or whatever they're doing with it. But when you have sole control over content and you're no longer licensing content to make money, you don't make money. And that's what Warner Brothers is finding out with the Batman Caped Crusader, is why they licensed it out, because they knew it was so bad that they weren't going to make money off of it. So why not make money off of it by making somebody else pay for putting it up there? Yes. And that's what it's going to be. And then people are going to be looking for good content.
Yeah, I I think it is going to come back around to that where the
Yeah.
licensing is going to be the model. I think, the Silicon Valley kind of came in and disrupted Hollywood. They changed the game. They changed the way that movies are made, and you know, sh- obviously streaming has changed the way television is made for the most part,
Yep.
and it's not working. It's not working. It's not creating good shows. And then obviously when it comes to someone like Disney, who really does not know how to make television,
Yeah.
you take a show like this, and I love these articles because it talks about, it got off to a strong start. With the first two episodes were 4.8 million views in its first day, and but what is a view, right?
Yeah, that's right.
It is a view 1 minute. It is a view when you're sitting there on the menu screen and it starts to show like the episode. Even though you haven't clicked on it. Um, you know,
So I
it's
believe
different for different services, I'm sure.
correct, and I believe that Disney Plus is definitely using the was it iPlayer metrics. So if you click
Yes.
on it and play one frame of it, you have viewed it.
YouTube's a little tricky with that too. It's odd. Now I had to actually dig it up and look it up with YouTube and what counts as a view, because if you have a channel and you're looking at your YouTube channel and trying to determine in the studio, and you got this many views, but then you look at like, your minutes watch, or you look at
Yep.
it, the numbers kind of don't quite match up. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, and then YouTube doesn't actually count likes unless you watch a certain time limit or proportion of the video as well.
Okay. See, I didn't even see that in my research. But yeah, all these streaming services kind of use different metrics or a different way to determine what is a view. You go. It's funny because it talks about 4.8 million views, and then it says it rose to 11.1 globally after 5 days. And then it debuted in the Nielsen top 10 at number 7, which is not a great debut depending on what it's going up against.
Right.
But from there it steadily dropped until the finale, which was the lowest Star Wars series finale they've ever had on Disney Plus. And
episode 3, I think, did a lot of people in. That's the one I couldn't watch anymore after episode 3.
Episode
I think
3,
that happened to a lot of people.
Yeah, especially, I mean, with the witches and the chant and the whole kind of feminist, take on what was happening, and the kids, and just
not just that, but the I mean, yeah, there's that, but the logical fallacy of what was happening in that episode.
Yeah.
And they're like, none of this makes sense. No logical person would make any of these decisions on either side.
Yeah, no, on either side. And that continued throughout the show. So
Yeah.
if you had been watching the show, eventually most people are going to come to a conclusion. It's like, they don't, the people writing don't even know what they want, right? Character motivations change at the drop of a hat, or there's really no motivation at all, or the story just doesn't make any sense. And it's obvious that giving $180 million to someone who has no business with that kind of money making a show should not be able to make another show again.
Yeah. Frostbite, I would say to you, save your brain cells, watch something good or entertaining or something else, because I find that there is no value in this show whatsoever. We're almost done with the topic, so we're going to be talking about other stuff.
Yeah. No, I agree. I would not waste your time. As a matter of fact, you probably would find more enjoyment out of watching Nerdrotics videos on each episode, or heels versus babyface. His episodes.
His Batwoman videos are the best.
Oh, the Batwoman. Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of DC, we'll get into that in a little bit with Michael Keaton. But nonetheless, yeah, I would recommend watching anybody and someone good, their reviews of those episodes. They are far more entertaining than the actual show itself.
Yeah, Robot Head. had
Oh,
amazing
he's great.
reviews of
Robot
them.
Head is fantastic. I
Yeah.
love that dude, man.
Yeah.
And is he he's Australian, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, Robot Head. He's
Yeah.
funny, dude. I love that guy. Great videos.
Yep.
Uh great content, man. He is fantastic. Um so real quick, I wanted to show I wanted to show a couple sides of this. And the reason I want to bring this up is because the show got canceled, people are conflating some people are taking victory laps, okay? And sending messages to one of the lead actresses. Um
Yeah. No, that's not cool.
and it's not. However, I think it's being framed in the wrong way because this tweet here compiles some of those messages, some of those comments, and their problem is, they're saying, "Oh, it's another black person, it's another black lead," and they're getting, harassed and all that. But when I actually look at the messages themselves, they could be for anyone.
Yep.
They don't. None of these messages bring race
Race.
into
Yeah.
the situation at all.
Yeah.
Now again, it's a lot of people taking victory laps, talking about taking an L, or how does your terrible show, how's it feel to get your show canceled, or I'm glad your show got canceled.
Yeah. I mean, that's
But
just shitty people being shitty.
yeah, yeah, that doesn't constitute necessarily a racist narrative, but you will see people who are going to use that.
Well, it it was spurred on by her twerking video.
Yes, yes,
She put herself in this position. She went out there and attacked everyone who watches the show. Star Wars fans, anybody who would ever potentially watch that show. She went out and viciously attacked them in a twerking rap video or whatever you want to call that thing that she did.
it's hideous, by the way.
It's
Anybody,
really it's
you
terrible.
you can look it up. Amandla, like Amanda, but with an L, Amandla Stenberg, and she did a diss track against
Yeah,
the
that's
haters.
it. That's what I was looking for.
And she's twerking and dancing, and the lyrics are just god awful, and it's just really hard on the ears. But turn the captions on and turn the sound down, and you'll be good. Like that's it. It really is.
Well, so the parody versions of it are even better.
Yeah, you're almost better off watching those. Really.
Yeah, but she literally she went out there and attacked everybody, and,
yeah.
this is the result of those attacks. So you attack us, so we're gonna come back at you and rub it in your face that your show was really bad.
Yeah,
and everybody knows it was really bad, and your TikTok video didn't help things. It only made things worse. And at some point, the studios are going to start putting a lockdown on people's social media, and they're going to go back to the studio system where they have full control over the media access to all of their actors and players and stuff like that. Because if they can control the narrative, you can prevent the idiocy from spreading out. And that's why they did it to begin with, because they knew that their actors were dumb because they play pretend for a living, and they're going to go out there and do something stupid or say something stupid, and people are going to run with it, and then it's going to ruin the box office, which it has. And that's why those systems were in place.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't help, and I think we've seen that contribute somewhat to kind of the death of the movie star because of the way we have access to their lives now and their every whim and thought. Then you lose the that curtain that kind of separates, right, that myth, so to speak, that people hold up actors, and it's really changed the game to where people now they're like, you're no better than I am. Where you used to think that, man, this amazing person, they must be just one of the nicest, greatest people out there. And it's changed the game quite a bit. And I do have a few tweets, and I'm just going to run through them really quickly so we can put this thing to bed. So some of the cope that's going on right now from Jack, Captain Cupkicks, who has the Is that Captain Falcon? Is that oh yeah, it's Falcon, I guess his picture. Canceling the Acolyte is one of the worst decisions ever. It was a series that was finally pushing Star Wars into fresh directions and was set up for an even better second season. But a bunch of babies couldn't handle that, and now we'll be stuck with more of the same forever. A bunch of babies. Gotta love it.
a,
It's
a, a bunch of babies. So that's like the entire viewing audience who has been told
yeah.
Star Wars is for children and for children only, and only children should watch it. And then you put out this sexually explicit, sexually provocative, all kinds of weirdness going on in this thing. It's definitely not for children. And then you get upset when the people who have families say this isn't for us to watch, and they don't watch it. And they're the
Well,
babies. You sound
and
like you're whinging and crying a whole lot there, bud.
well, right, and this particular tweet is not as bad, but what I find funny again in it is it says Star Wars continues to fold under the pressure of the worst, smallest, loudest part of the fan base, and it's like no,
Literally not.
actually. Yeah, the worst, smallest, loudest part are the people who got this show made,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Like that is more appropriate than what
Yeah.
I think anybody would say as far as it being, let's say, you or I.
Now I've got a friend. I've known him for a long time. He is the biggest Star Wars fan. He's into writing horror movies and producing, making horror movies and stuff. But his drop dead everything at all be all is Star Wars. And I saw a post from him today where he picked up some Acolyte figures on deep clearance, and he even said in there, he says, I like these two these two figures, these two characters, but I'll never watch this show again because it wasn't good. And he acknowledges the fact that he watched something that wasn't good, but there was something aesthetically pleasing about these two characters that he liked, that he wanted to have, and he got them on clearance, and so he was happy about that. So even the diest of diehards acknowledge this show was not good.
Yeah, no, it is, but you still have a few out there, like Sarah Palpatine. Sarah Palpatine. Somehow Palpatine returned. Um,
Okay, so hold on, time out for a second. Hold on. Sarah Palpatine. So she's acknowledging that Rey is a Palpatine, and she's acknowledging that Leslie Headland is a Sith, a self-admitted Sith, right? So these are the evil people in the world that are doing these things to manipulate things, to change things, and you're agreeing with the evil people. Okay, good. All right, now we have context. Okay, read the
yes.
quote.
Yes. The excitement my kids and I felt while watching The Acolyte was immeasurable. We had love and hope for every character. It was also the perfect opportunity for me to tell them the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise. So you mean you couldn't watch Revenge of the Sith, and that's not a perfect opportunity to tell them about Darth Plagueis?
Or, the book, the
Yes,
novelization.
whatever way you want to go. But the bottom line is, Darth Plagueis isn't even mentioned in this show.
Nope.
We only see, they don't call him by name.
Nope.
No one references him. All we get is this creepy character lurking around a rock who's been spying on what's his name? Smilo Ren.
Yep.
I guess in his cave, but there's no mention of him. So why would you take that as an opportunity to tell your kids?
So everyone is making an assumption that that's Darth Plagueis. He's just a creepy mun or Mune or however they say it, right?
Yeah.
He's just a creepy guy in a cave. We don't know that that's actually Plagueis.
And that was so just contrived and like shoehorned in to, and And now there's
And the
a
Yoda part was even worse.
the Yoda part at the end. Yeah. Now there's a hashtag going around, save the Acolyte. And we
Who
have
started that hashtag? Who started that hashtag? Who was the first person to put it out there?
Man. If it was on Real BBC Today, I had not caught that, or I missed that part. Who was it? Leslie
Gary
Headland
Beekler did it before the show finished its last episode.
Okay.
Nerdrotic put it out there, save the Acolyte, and Heels vs. Babyface picked it up too, because he's like, I need the content. This will buy me a new house.
Absolutely. And I was getting ready to say this, exactly what you just said. You're absolutely right. Is that, yeah, for people that have large channels, this is great content for them. So they want it to continue to season 2, but there's also that level of wanting it Disney to just have to just break down, right? And really start over in a sense with new content.
You know what other argument I find is really funny is that people are coming out there is like, how many first seasons were terrible to begin with? Star Trek: The Next Generation, and they start naming off all these shows that they've never actually watched, or have only heard about people talking about, and they say, what about Firefly? That was canceled before its time, and you guys got that one saved, and and they go through all these things, and what they don't understand is the entire context behind everything, and the reason why these things were not as good as they could have been or whatever, because Star Trek: The Next Generation had first season had some amazing episodes. As a whole, it wasn't as good as the rest of the show.
Right.
And then Firefly was a totally different situation, as it was a change in leadership at Fox. And the new leadership comes in and says, well, I can't have any of the previous leadership's pet projects on here, so we're going to wipe all those out and move forward with a clean slate. And so between that and, she said some other things about why she canceled the show later on, that production budgets and stuff like that. But I'm like, that could have been something huge, but it happens.
I think at this point, when it comes to streaming and the fact that companies it's amazing the budgets that they're spending on these shows.
$180 million on that piece of trash show.
And they're making so many shows because they have to make content to fill all this time, where traditional television had a schedule. It had only so many channels. You had a prime time season, right? You had your seasons, and then shows would go on break, and then you'd come back and you'd have your Christmas episode and your Thanksgiving episode, your Christmas episode, your Halloween episode, whatever it was. And because it's been flipped upside down now, you have all these companies that are just spending all this money to produce a bunch of garbage just to fill content, because now they're obligated to have to put something on for you. And it's not just like shooting a pilot season, and then NBC, CBS, Fox, and ABC pick the best shows, and then out of those shows, the ones that don't cut the mustard, they cut those after a few episodes and cut them out. But you get the best of the best. You get the quality control that was done with traditional television and that model, compared to now, where they just throw any amount of money to any person to make something who doesn't even know what they're doing in the first place. And it's amazing. And then you get stuff like The Acolyte.
And so if you go back in time and think about how these things all got started, I mean, one, money laundering. Yeah, that was a thing, Roger Corman and all that kind of stuff. But two, you had people on shoestring budgets make the most amazing movies that have ever been put on film, right? And when you give everything they ask for, then they can't be creative, because they think they have it all figured out because they got all this money. But when you don't have the money, you are forced to be creative, and you are forced to make decisions that may not be ideal, but may produce something totally unexpected. And that's where the magic comes into play, of the synergy of the script, the director, and the cinematography and the cast and you put it all together and you shake it up and something magical comes out. When you're put under pressure to complete or to finish something or make something that you have to actually struggle and strive to get to, because if it's just easy sailing the whole time, it usually turns out to be shit.
Yeah, and a lot of times you see this. This happens in all kinds of industries. When you are given
Yes.
a blank check, when you're given a blank check, you see it. I can relate it to sports. When cities give a blank check to a developer to build a brand new football stadium, they say it's gonna be done in 3 years and it's gonna cost this. It never is done in 3 years, and
Right.
it always costs more than they expected. So when
Yep.
you give people a blank check, then the worry of having to be on time for your shoots,
Yep.
utilize your sets, properly and efficiently,
Yep.
have everything on time, your catering, whatever it is, lunchtime, break, this stuff, we got to go, location, whatever. Yes, you're not under that pressure. And when you're not under that pressure, I think I agree with you to an extent that yes, at that point, people are more creative
Yep.
when the pressure is on and
Yep.
everybody is all in on this project. I'm not saying people weren't all in on the Acolyte, the actors and whomever,
Yeah.
right?
No,
I'm
no,
not
no.
saying they weren't all
Not, not,
in.
not saying that, that their hearts and things weren't in the right place, but think of if they have trimmed down that budget to half of that and they were put under this pressure, it would be something different, because they'd be like, okay, to get more money for next season, we really have to make all this stuff work. We
Right.
have to get the best takes. We have to, and if you have all the money, you're like, oh, well, we've got everything we need, so that's good enough. Let's move on.
Yeah, and speaking of moving on, we're gonna go
Yeah.
ahead and move
Yeah.
on from
Yes.
the Acolyte because thank God it's over, and we'll always have the memories, though, won't we?
Yeah.
We'll
So
always have those lovely memories. I want
lovely
to say
memories.
hi real quick to Tony's Figs
Flush it.
dropping by. What's up on the West Coast? What's
So,
up?
buddy. Curiously, something popped in my head just a minute ago.
Yeah.
Um, were you a fan of, or have you ever seen Futurama?
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
That show has gone away and come back 4 times. And the latest ones is its 4th iteration. And they're dropping episodes weekly on Hulu right now. And they're pretty good. I've always liked Futurama because it was true science fiction nerd to the nth degree, because every single frame of that animated show had sci-fi nerdiness in it. It had real tech stuff. It had real science. It had our favorite science fiction stuff in there thrown in the background or in the foreground. And the storylines were actually science fiction. They did one called the EYE phone, right? And you implant a chip in your eye and it's a phone, right? And it was a total blast on Apple. Total blast on Apple. And so, I mean, they keep up with some modern stuff, but it came back and I've been watching it, and it's okay. It's not as good as the earlier stuff, but it still has the same heart. It still has the same premise behind a lot of it. And it's been fairly entertaining again.
Well, Family Guy kind of reminds me of that too, where
Right.
you go away and then you come back, and on a different channel, and still good, but those first like
5
5 seasons,
seasons. I agree with you.
geez
Exactly.
Louise, just I mean, rip roaring, dude. I used to absolutely lose it watching Family Guy,
Yep.
and it was some of that newer Hollywood
And I
comedy,
don't
the
think,
quick-witted comedy that's very fast. The jokes hit really
yes.
quickly. Bang, 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 bang.
So I really like Seth MacFarlane's writing, and like I like Joss Whedon's writing. They've got a knack for that timing and the dialogue, and I like a lot of Seth's stuff. And somebody recently said Orville season 4 is going to happen still. I don't know about that, but
Yeah,
that would
I
be
haven't.
cool if they brought that back.
I mean, I have not really seen anything about it.
I heard something this week that said that Orville season 4 is still happening.
Huh. Um, I mean, Yeah, I mean, we'll see. And man, I'm gonna tell you, I scour news sites, about Hollywood and whatever, like every day. I'm like every day, I am emailing articles to myself to save and share and talk about.
So,
Um,
yeah. So, a week and a half ago, this has kind of been floating around, but other people are starting to pick it up. Is that Scott Grimes confirms that season 4 of the Orville is in production and will be released in
okay.
2025.
Oh, if it's in production, that means it's rolling, right?
Yeah.
It's rolling right
So,
along.
well, but I've heard about this before because Gary was talking about it because they had most of it written right after season 3, and so if they're still keeping that idea rolling through, I think it might be interesting. But I
Um,
enjoyed that show a lot.
I think a lot of people would say that the Orville is more Star Trek than Star Trek is now.
Well, more Star Trek than Klutzman Trek. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yes, yes. And Eric says Gina Carano firing was the Star Wars curse. Maybe. I think they were in trouble before then,
Yeah.
but I will agree with you that that was one of the worst moves that they made because they had a show completely with her as the main,
Yep.
protagonist of it, and then John Favreau, who's drawing out these shows to connect with each other and maybe culminate in this Mandalorian Grogu movie that's supposed to be coming out in a
Yeah.
year or whatever it is. Um,
The most disappointing thing about that
has to
is
scrap that.
Carl Weathers stuck up for her,
He's the
but John
only one.
Favreau didn't. John
Yeah,
Favreau didn't.
nobody else did,
Yeah.
and yeah, Weathers was the only one. He was, and it is a shame. And I would have been. I actually like that character. If you go to any
Yeah.
Comic Con and you see Gina Carano
She's
at her
amazing.
table, she has like one of the biggest lines out of people that are there.
She's absolutely right. She's amazing. I got to sit down with her and drunk 3PO, and she entertained my daughter. She loved my daughter. My daughter came up to her after her little talk that she had, and she gave her a great big hug. And Gina was so generous with her time and everything with us.
Awesome.
She's great.
Yeah, that's awesome. I So real quick, because 3 Star said I didn't realize she's in Borderlands.
Who's she? Who you mean,
You talking
Gina?
about Gina? I don't think she was in the Borderlands movie. Now she may have maybe done a voice acting credit in the video game, but I don't know that. I don't
Yeah.
know that for sure. Okay, so in the video game, I'm guessing.
Okay.
He said yes, so I'm guessing the video game because I don't see anything about her being in the movie. But yeah, because I was trying to look up the credits and just see on the fly if I could find something because I would assume that. Let's see.
Holy
We
cow! I didn't realize she was in Almost Human. That show was great.
Oh god, you know what? I didn't either.
I
Um,
I really like that show. I
Interesting.
was so disappointed it didn't get another season,
Yeah, I was
but I
trying
love
to.
just about everything Carl Urban's in.
Yeah, it said she's Mad Moxie in the movie.
Okay,
Uh,
it
I
doesn't
didn't.
show that. I didn't see that anywhere.
Um, yeah, I can't find that anywhere. Um, so yeah, because I just say wrong Gina. You're talking about Gina Gershon, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's
Um,
a different person.
yeah, but all good. I was just like, holy cow, I missed that.
Yeah, yeah.
So listen, so moving on, there was something I found an article that I thought was kind of interesting, and I just wanted to share it with you. It's about Michael Keaton and his time filming on the Batgirl, uh, the Batgirl movie. And it's funny because he did an article with GQ, and he was talking about he said says asked Keaton GQ asked Keaton in a recent interview whether he found the fate of Batgirl disappointing. Now to give y'all a background on Batgirl.
Mhm.
Batgirl was filmed. It was pretty much done. There was still some, post production and some CGI and stuff like that, but it had cameos by Batfleck. It had Keaton in it, a couple other people. It was being directed by the two people who did the Miss Marvel show for Disney Plus, and so these two guys are directing it. They're big comic book fans, but big Marvel fans and DC and all that stuff. And so Batgirl, though, Warner Brothers decided in order to get the tax write-off for Batgirl, they would basically burn the film. It would never, ever, ever, ever see the light of day.
Yep.
And as long as and I'm talking about bootleg on the internet, anything.
Well, so that's still a possibility,
It's still
but
possible, but ultimately they could not release it, put it out, do anything
Roger
with it.
Corman Fantastic Four it.
Yes, so in order to get the tax credit, Warner Brothers basically shut it down after they had basically filmed the movie. And so it was asked if Michael Keaton was disappointed because he was in the movie.
Yeah.
And he says no. He said he wasn't really fazed by the cancellation. He says, no, I didn't care one way or the other. Big fun, nice check. But he did feel bad for the two directors. He said, they're nice guys. I pull for them. I want them to succeed. And he said, I think they felt very badly, and that made me feel bad. But as far as I'm concerned, I feel good. And I'm like, so that, that just gives you a little insight to actors sometimes, and someone who is a long time actor like a Michael Keaton.
You know why he feels good?
He got paid. Yeah, he got paid. He got paid, and
Yeah.
and I read. I will actually encourage anybody out there to read this article on GQ with him. It's actually really good.
Yeah.
And because Beetlejuice is coming out,
Yep.
obviously very soon. That is projected to open a week, $80 million opening weekend, possibly.
We'll see.
I don't know what kind of legs it's going to have. I think Nostalgia Bait is going to have Beetlejuice as a big weekend, but I don't know about the
So the
longevity.
buzz that I'm feeling, that I'm getting, is that if you're in your mid to late 40s, you're going to want to go see it. Anybody else is probably not going to have a lot of connection to it unless their parents exposed them to Beetlejuice. And it's going to look like a bunch of old people doing weird stuff on screen unless you have the context for it. And we'll see how well it does. I hope it does well. I hope it's good. And I know we're going to go see it because it's marketed to us.
100%. I had this conversation with 3-Star Draw, actually, and we were talking, and I know he is a big fan. I will tell you what I told him. That yes, as a kid, I loved the Beetlejuice movie. Now, a few years ago, I showed it to my son for the first time, and I hyped it up. I said, "God, you're gonna love this," because in my mind, when I was his age, I was like, "Oh my God, I loved it," and so I hyped it up, and I said, "Man, it's so funny, and there's all these great moments," and I was kind of watching him as he watched it, and when we got done with it. Also, myself, number one, he didn't have anything to say when it was over. And also, when I finished it, I ain't gonna lie, man. Like I didn't feel the same as I did when I was a kid. I saw more. I say issues with it. I don't know if it's issues is the right thing, but it wasn't as funny to me as I always had thought it was.
Yeah.
It's clever. And I love the Tim Burton style, Edward Scissorhands, you name it. But it didn't hit me the same as an adult. And I don't know why, but I agree with you. It will be marketed. Beetlejuice is going to be marketed towards us.
Yep.
But
I still have so much nostalgia for this. And we showed it to our daughter earlier than she should have seen it, but she loves the movie. And she loves all the different aspects of the movie. She thinks it's funny. She thinks it's scary. She can't wait to get to the Deo scene.
Yeah, I mean, it's, and I remember, as a kid, it's like, God, I loved all that. But for some reason, it just did not hit me the same way. I mean, I'm going to see the movie, obviously. It's almost like I have to, right? It just falls into that wheelhouse. And real quick, I just want to say hi to Judd 3300. Thanks for swinging in and hanging out with us for a little bit, and maybe listen to us talk about some movies and stuff. And whatever else today.
I think that Warner Brothers missed a huge opportunity to do right by Michael Keaton and do right by the Batman franchise by not making Michael Keaton Batman from Batman Beyond, or Bruce Wayne from Batman Beyond. And
Yes.
casting somebody new to play Terry McGinnis and just doing that whole thing. I was talking with a buddy of mine who is not aware of any of this stuff, right? But he says, you may not like this opinion or not because he knows me and TV and movies. And he says, but I was watching this show, Batman Beyond, and I go, dude, that's an amazing show. And so we got to talking about Batman
It's a
Beyond.
great show.
And that whole universe, that Batman the Animated Series, Batman and Robin, Superman the Animated Series, Justice League Unlimited, and Batman Beyond. That is an amazing universe to play in, and they did it really well.
Yeah.
So
yeah, great run of animation, and Batman Beyond actually was. And what is interesting about that is they never chose to really do anything with that property, and it is very surprising because I think it's something that would have gone over very well and had him in that mentor role.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, but it's curious. It's like they just never wanted to touch it, right? Never want to do anything with it. It's just anytime it's probably ever come up at all, it's probably been shot right back down for whatever.
I don't know if it's rights things or what, because I think Paul Dini and what's his name have most of the rights to it, but.
Yeah, I don't know. 3-star Draw says Beetlejuice is one of the movies that if it's on, I start watching and I have to finish it. And I think we all have a lot of those movies.
Yeah,
sure. Right? If you just happen to have the TV on and something comes on and it's like you just happen to see it and you just leave the TV on. For instance, Man on Fire was on earlier, and I just left it on. Right? It's Denzel. Great flick, but there's a million of them like that. Ferris Bueller, you name it, I don't care. There's a million of them. Judd 3300 says, question: what if Beetlejuice movie had good at the box office hit? In your opinion, are they going to make a third movie? It'd have to really hit. I mean, it would have to really, really hit, in my opinion.
Hey, War Chest, what's up?
Yeah,
buddy?
He is here.
So it's not just have to hit; it has to hit on all cylinders. It has to blow people away. The critics have to love it. The movie has to make a ton of money, and then they're like, okay, we got to greenlight a sequel right now. If they don't greenlight a sequel right now, and it grows over time and has the same cult following, then Michael Keaton will be too old to play the part again, or whatever they're going to do. It just wouldn't. It's not going to work.
Yeah, and
they're going to leave it open for 3 for sure.
Michael Keaton's 72 years old,
right?
So you also have to keep that in mind. And I'm not saying that he couldn't move with the makeup. Obviously, he could. You could do whatever you want. It's just there is a point in time in a person's life where they just. It's a lot harder to bring it than it was before. It happens. I love Harrison Ford.
He can't exactly pull off the "you want to get crazy" type of thing anymore.
Right. I mean, and when it's like when I see Harrison Ford now, as much as I love Harrison Ford, as much as I've loved his movies, anytime I see him in recent movies in the last several years, he reminds me of a guy who's collecting a paycheck. Like that.
Yeah. I mean, when he says,
rough.
Oh yeah, then I remembered, I don't care.
Yeah. Oh no. Look, the funniest acting, or the funniest him being himself, is when he answers or doesn't answer questions about Star Wars when he gets interviewed.
Just don't care.
Yeah. That's, I remember in talking about, Han Solo coming back as a Force ghost. He's like, what's a Force ghost?
Yeah, right.
Just stuff like that, man. Like but I love him. But yes, I think it would be more difficult as long as these things take to make, to write and make. I mean, just think about this. The last time they were going to try to do a Beetlejuice movie was in the 90s, and they wanted him to be in Hawaii.
Yep.
And that obviously, thank God, didn't get made, because I can't imagine what that would what that would have been like, especially knowing how
Yeah.
sequels were done for years and years, especially. Um, Speaking of sequels, I think now is about the time. Um, Famously, James Cameron walked into a boardroom after the original Alien movie in 1979. And this was the original movie. And then for Aliens, the second one, he walked into the boardroom and walked up to the whiteboard, and they asked him about his pitch for Aliens 2 or Aliens, whatever. And he wrote the word alien on the whiteboard, and then he put an S at the end of it, and then he put the $ marks through the S, and that was a go for Aliens 2, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. Uh,
Perfect movie. It's
yes.
perfect.
So, I want to get your review of Alien Romulus.
So I learned something new today that I didn't know, that I think is fascinating, and that is there is a complete animated movie, I believe, for Aliens that takes place after Resurrection, and it was an Aliens Predator crossover that is done. It's in the can, and it's sitting in Warner Brothers vault right now. And no, I don't know if it's any good or not, but it was completed and it's sitting there in a vault. And it takes place after Alien Resurrection, and
Okay.
it's Aliens vs Predator in that time space. And that fascinates me. And so I like, hey, that's pretty cool. But Alien Romulus.
Lay it
Okay.
out there.
This is going to be complicated because a lot of people are going to like this movie. A lot of people are going to love this movie, and I have no fault with saying, "Great, I'm glad that you love it." I believe that it was very much in attune to this album that I have right here in front of me. Okay,
Okay.
this album is a Metallica album. Okay, it's got all of their greatest songs on it, but they're all covers. They're all done by different people. Okay.
Oh,
I
wow.
enjoy
Okay.
this, but it's not the same. It's not what I listen to on a regular basis. I go back to the classics. I go back to the originals. I go back to Metallica doing this, or different versions that Metallica has done. Right. So this movie it's a lot of nostalgia. It's a lot of member berries. It has wonderful practical effects. The practical effects that they used in this movie, I thought were really well done. The CGI was total garbage. I believe that there's only one real character in the movie. Everyone else is a plot, a flesh bag for plot conveyance. And that one character is the android. And then they screwed over the android at the end of the movie. Okay. They lift dialogue and they lift scenes from better movies, and they shoved it into this thing. They started off really strong. They created this environment, this world, and you want to know more about it. You want to get involved with it. And then they turn it on its head by doing the stupidest thing ever. If you had a contract with a company, any company, okay, and you go in and say, hey, I fulfilled my contract, I'm going to move on, and then they come back and say, well, actually, we have changed the terms of your contract, you owe us 6 more years, you're going to say, fuck you,
Yeah.
I'm walking away. And not only are you going to do that, everyone else who had the same thing done to them is going to do it. And if you try to stop them, there's going to be a bloody riot. There's going to be mass killings, murders, explosions, sabotage. This thing is, you're going to have to nuke this thing from orbit because it's not going to work. Okay, and to add 6 years to what is essentially indentured servitude to these people is going to make people riot. And so this is the nth degree. So they cartoonize the villainy of the corporation in this, so much so that they did the unthinkable. And this is a spoiler, whatever. I hope you guys don't mind, because they brought back.
Here, hang on, hang on. So I'm going to count down from 5. And anybody that doesn't want to hear this, especially if you are an Alien fan of the movies, I'm going to count down from 5. And then I want you to tell it. And then you guys cover your ears, mute the stream for a moment, and I will give the thumbs up on the screen when we're ready for you to unmute. If that's okay with you guys, I'll do that. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, hit it.
So they brought back Ian Holm, who's been dead since 2019, and they used his voice and they synthesized it and they CGI'd it very badly, and they put him on a dismembered android in this movie, and there was no point because they could have been anybody. It didn't have to be Ash. It wasn't named Ash. It was named Rook because they're playing off of Bishop, off of chess pieces, and
Right.
it's so freaking stupid. They could have used anybody because it's only half a person anyway, and they're trying to play on the death of Ash and Ian Holm in the original Alien movie, and there was no point in doing that whatsoever because they don't have to have the same face, right? And he was a major character in the movie as he was continually in there, and they tried to hide it by putting it on screens and fuzzing out the screen or whatever because they knew how bad that CGI was. But I thought that was immoral, disrespectful, and pointless. But they did it because it's a member berry.
Totally a member berry. Now his family did give
Right.
permission, right? There's this big talk right now with the AI and using actors. We saw it with Peter Cushing and uh,
Carrie Fisher.
hello, yes, Carrie Fisher. Thank you.
Yeah.
Um, and it's something that's going to come up more. But in this movie, you're right. That doesn't make any sense. There's no point for it. It could have been anybody else. So I think to just bring that in is almost as if you want to please the fans of the series, but that's not the kind of pleasing they need.
Right.
It's just doing it for the sake of doing it and trying to come up with this clever other name after chess pieces on a board. And obviously androids being a large part of this world as it's come to be, as we've seen what David did, right? You know,
I mean, why not use him? Right.
Well, like, exactly. I mean, it's, yeah, it's totally out of place. But and we're past that. Anybody, if you want to turn your volume up, I'll give the double thumbs up if you even care for that matter. It's not that the movie has done fine, by the way.
The movie's done really well. It's approaching profitability. And I saw it in like the Rumble Chairs experience, whatever. I thought it was pretty cool.
Okay.
There's a weightless scene and the chair just moves ever so slightly with the camera movements. It's really kind of cool experience. And I don't think I hated this movie as much as other people did. But I'm more tolerant of Prometheus than other people are.
I actually enjoyed Prometheus. There are dumb things about it.
Yeah.
But overall, as a film, I was okay with it. I don't think it's amazing or anything, but I was okay with the film.
So I'll say that if you like Prometheus and Covenant and you're a fan of the Aliens franchise, I think you're going to like this movie. I think that there's a lot to be thankful for in this movie in terms of a franchise continuation, a sequel, whatever. So a lot of people are liking it. I'm just thinking to myself, on an emotional level, on an intellectual level, this is devoid of anything that isn't Disney corporate coming down and saying, you have to steal this line from there and you have to put it in. You have to, these 4 lines you have to put in here. These 4 scenes, we need to mirror it here in this. And these are corporate people coming and saying, they have to know there's a connection between these movies because they think everybody's dumb as they are. And so they have to put all this stuff in, and it is mind-numbingly stupid. But if you're going to see a popcorn film and you want to go enjoy it, you're going to enjoy it. So, and you're going to turn off your brain and you're going to have a good time. And the logic doesn't have to make sense. It is just what it is.
Would you say great first act, maybe first and second, but the third act goes off the rails?
Yeah, no, the third act, and that was the other miss for me, is that they try to do a Lord of the Rings and have three different endings, right? And, so it just kept going, and they kept saying this is a good stopping point. Oh no, this is a good stopping point. Oh no,
Right.
this right, and then it finally ended, and the thing, the final boss or whatever you want to take it was just dumb. I mean, but if, like I said, if you like Prometheus, if you like Alien Covenant, it fits right in with that, because Ridley definitely had a hand in the pot with it. Eric, I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
And
Eric, did you see it, or because I know he'd like Prometheus, and so I wanted to make sure
yeah,
he was
and
also
I know
talking about
there's going to be people
Romulus
that
as
like it.
well, if he actually went to see it and thought it
Yeah,
was really good. Yeah, no, I don't. I think there's people that definitely will enjoy it. Now, I have, and you know me, and you know the people that I watch and listen to.
yeah.
I've pretty much heard everything about the movie that one would need to hear, or actually hear it without seeing the movie,
I think you
literally.
should see it.
Uh, well, and you know what? I was talking to Three Star Draw again about that. It.
Oh, you like Prometheus? Okay, I see. I see what you're
Okay,
saying.
that's what I thought.
Okay.
And so yeah, it was a situation. I had a small time frame, okay, to be able to see it.
Yeah.
But it was a matinee, and it's like $20 for matinee.
So
And
yeah,
and I was like, I wanted to catch it, but in that short window, I thought if I can catch it for a little less than that, I'm gonna
yeah,
try. I
yeah.
just,
I get it.
you understand what I'm saying. Like
Yep.
and so yeah, it was a very short window to try to see it. It was after I took my son home and before work the next day, and it was
No,
late,
I get it.
and
But I do encourage, if you get the chance, go to the theater and see it, because it is a theater experience.
yeah, I would
I'm
assume.
big on theater experience. I think that these things were made to be seen on the big screen, and I agree with that. I love seeing
Yeah.
things on the big screen, but it won't have the same play at home, I'm sure. But I just remember how awe-inspiring and changing, universally changing, Alien and Aliens were. If you saw them in the movie theater at the time that they came out, that was the time frame in which cinema was really kind of defining itself. That 70s, 80s, even into the 90s. There's a lot of formation of some really wonderful things that happened in cinema due to the independent movement in the 90s, and
Yes.
the blockbusters that happened in the 80s, and some of the storytelling that happened in the 70s. It just really hit a nice zeitgeist
Well,
of
I I
things.
I think what helps make Aliens so memorable is not just obviously the cast and the fact that it's an action movie. It's a totally different movie than Alien. But
Yeah.
what I like about it is that it came at the right time, right?
Yes.
Like, Alien, the original, was at the right time for that cerebral suspense thriller. It's not a
Yes.
horror movie, and it's not an action movie. I think it's more of a suspense thriller. Um, but in '86, you couldn't have placed Aliens in a better spot, because you're
Yeah.
right in the middle of your Commandos and your Rambos and your
Yep.
just big action, your Chuck Norris and your
Terminator had been done by then.
Terminate. Right, right, right. So it falls right in that perfect line. The problem since then has been trying to either A, figure out what the next step is with
Yep.
that franchise, and not stepping on the
So
toes of the prior entries. And I think there's
yeah.
been a lot of misses in there
Yep.
in between.
I wish that they had just gone back and made a movie of Isolation.
I agree. I agree.
Isolation is a great story, and it connects the universe and it connects characters. So you have a buy-in already, and then they can tell a completely different story, so to speak, in that universe, and not have to mess with all this other stuff.
Yeah,
Uh,
I
I,
gamers that have ever played, if you haven't played, if you're a gamer and you haven't played Alien Isolation, you need to download it and you need to play it. It is an awesome game. It is
Yeah.
fantastic and it's scary as hell too. And
Yeah.
it'll get you going. Like it will get you going. It is an amazing game. Um,
So,
yeah,
Eric,
absolutely.
I will say that I think that you will probably like Alien Romulus. It's a well-made movie. There's a lot of problems I have with logic and consistency and stuff, but that's me. That's my
That's a
nitpicky
lot of
stuff.
movies nowadays, though. Those things get past, that's common in a lot of
But it
movies.
has made me appreciate Alien 4 a
Okay.
whole lot more.
Okay. That's interesting.
Because and I'll go back to this and Aliens, Alien 3, Alien Resurrection, and Prometheus all did something new.
Yes. That's
Okay.
true.
They all brought a different concept and they explored that concept. Alien Romulus throws out a lot of good concept, but never fulfills any of it.
I think that's the shame of it for people that maybe are not as up on the film, is that they probably can see the potential.
Yeah.
They can see that the first act and the world building
Yes.
and the characters, and there's no messaging in it. They're not throwing any messaging at you,
Right.
that
Well,
people can
there's
see.
a little with the mentally deficient, but anyway.
Well, okay. But ultimately, though, I think people can see the potential, and then, but for a lot of folks, it falls apart at the end. And unfortunately, for so many people, when you walk out of that theater, what's the first thing on your mind is how the movie ended.
Yeah.
It literally is. It's the
Yeah.
first thing out of your mouth when you walk out was either, man, that sucked, or that ending was awful. But it
Yeah.
takes
And
you a minute to digest the whole film and to be able to go back and say, but at the beginning, man, like they had some really good ideas and good stuff going on.
yeah.
I mean,
I like I said, I'm a huge Alien fan. I got a face hugger sitting up there over there around the
I
corner
love
there.
I love the first two. I love the first two movies.
and
No
I go
doubt
back and
about it.
forth. And for me, I think Aliens is a perfect movie. I love Alien, but I think it still has a couple flaws in it, pacing wise, just pacing flaws, really, that make it not as perfect as Aliens. And also, Aliens just hit the zeitgeist, like we were talking about,
Man.
and just nailed it. And they haven't been able to replicate that again. And as much as I like AVP,
Yeah,
it is
sure.
what it is.
Yeah. Well, on an $80 million budget,
Yeah, no. Oh,
worldwide
good. You pulled that up. Awesome. I was going to pull it up.
worldwide is at 113 million. It's
Yeah.
45 domestic, 68 international, and it's an $80 million budget. So, it as long as it keeps getting some people in and has a little, has some legs, then I would assume, it's going to make some money.
I think
I pretty good
it'll
opening.
probably be a 40% drop this week. It will hit profitability. If you think that, what was it, 80 million or something like that, tax credit wise, it's about 50 million because of where they filmed it. And so if it makes 150 million at the box office or more, it'll be profitable.
Yeah.
And it will hit that. It will definitely hit that this next weekend. So it will become profitable. How profitable? I don't know. Does it have legs? I don't know.
That's exactly. That's one of those things. I mean, the word of mouth and people saying, you got to see it. I've heard the both. I've
Yeah.
heard you'll like it. It's a great popcorn flick, and I've also heard it was terrible and it fell apart.
It's not
and
terrible,
whatever,
and that's the thing that a lot of people are hyperbolizing or whatever, and it's because they see the cultural vandalism, and I understand that aspect of it.
Yeah,
But
sure.
at the same time, it's a movie. It was fun. it could be considered fun. I just thought that most of the characters and acting wasn't good, except for from Andy. Andy was awesome. That
Well,
actor.
I heard he definitely steals the show.
He steals the show, and the Rip Offly wasn't really that good.
You have to have one. Well, it was Natalie Portman in one movie, wasn't it? So
Winona Ryder.
Winona, but wasn't Natalie in was it Covenant? Wasn't she in Covenant? I could have swore she was. Isn't that the one with Tennessee? With Danny
as
McBride?
Foot Fist Way, Danny McBride, yeah.
Real quick, I want to say hey to Clint Jorgensen. He says, since 2020, I've only seen the Taylor Swift concert, Return of the Jedi, and Raiders of the Lost Ark in the theater. Nothing new has got me out. And I could believe that.
Yeah.
I can. And if Barbie or Oppenheimer or Spider-Man No Way Home,
dude, you are smoking crack. You are definitely thinking Winona Ryder in Resurrection.
Is it? No, not Resurrection. Resurrection.
No, she's not in Covenant.
No, Natalie Portman isn't?
No.
I could have swore she was.
Catherine Witherspoon. And the person you might be thinking of is Callie Hernandez, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe it was. I could have swore Natalie Portman was in one of those. I guess not.
And that's what you're thinking is because Winona Ryder.
Well, yeah. Well, Portman, I definitely remember her for sure.
But she was in Resurrection.
Yeah, Resurrection, which is it's an interesting movie. War Chest says I completely agree. Aliens is the best and a perfect movie. It's in my top 10. Yeah, I mean I like Aliens better than Alien. I do. And Ronnie Trickshot says Pop Blender in 2051 we'll be talking about aliens. I was once a man. Oh my gosh. Okay, so now we get the story with Clint and the Taylor Swift concert. He lost a bet. He has 9 nieces, and he lost a bet, and he had to take all 9 of them to see the Taylor Swift movie. Holy cow! What'd that cost you? A couple $100?
Oh man, a couple hundred. Depends on when.
Well, I mean, and popcorn and all that stuff. I mean, shoot, going to the movies just as a solo can cost you $50 if you see a nighttime movie with popcorn and a Coke, you're hitting $45-$50. Wait, what? Reese Witherspoon? It's not Reese. No. Is it War Chest? Who? Yeah, you just looked it up. You just looked it up, Matthew. For some reason in my mind, I was thinking that Natalie Portman was in one of these movies, right? It wasn't a Predator movie. I know that, but yeah, I'm all mixed up. I don't know what I'm thinking. I'm not thinking, Matthew. You need to reach to the screen and slap me. Oh my gosh. Well, so yeah, on your recommendation, so out of a 10, what do you give it out of a 10?
6.
Okay. 6 out of 10.
If I gave Deadpool Wolverine a 7, I'd have to give this one a 6 because it doesn't have the actorial chemistry that Deadpool Wolverine did, and it was playing on the same amount of nostalgia bait on this, but it was shot well. It had some good stuff in it. I think that if you're a fan of the franchise, it's worth seeing. Yeah. I mean, okay. It's not a horrible movie, so a lot of people are going to like it. And I mean, like it's better than what we've gotten in a lot of movies.
I guess and again, I've seen a lot of reviews, so of course you get the good and the bad, and the ugly. And there's been a couple of them that were just like, "Oh, don't waste your time," but people that I trust, they fall in the same camp as you. They're about 6 out of 10. Ultimately, at the end of the day. So yeah, I'd say, yeah, if you want to go out and see it, I guess, my thing is for those of you maybe that are wanting to watch how much you pay to go to the movies. If you don't go all the time for one, then maybe try to check out, matinee or see if there's kind of a Tuesday special deal or something like that. Right.
Right.
You do see stuff like that. A lot. And especially pre-COVID. Now I don't know, afterwards. I think they want to get as many people in the theater as they can,
Right.
ultimately. But yeah. Anyway, so good. I definitely want to get your take on it because I know that for anybody here that is thinking about going to see it, and I know how much you love those movies and that franchise. And so I figured, getting your take, your review without spoiling, too much. I know a lot of people probably would take your point of view seriously. And so yeah, man. Yeah, I don't know what the hell I was thinking with Natalie Portman. I don't even know what movie I'm thinking about then
Like I
with
said,
her.
I think you were thinking Winona Ryder.
And Todd C's in the house. What's
What's
going
up,
on,
Todd?
buddy? Good to see you. And yeah, anybody obviously listening live, I know you guys have hit the like button, which obviously helps a ton. And then if anybody's watching on a replay later, hit the like button as well if you like listening to us banter back and forth and like to put us on and watch, put us on in the background. I don't care. I ain't greedy at all, man. You get some work done. That's what I tell people. Get some work done. Matthew likes to watch everything on 2-speed. And I don't know how. I tried after we talked about that. And because somebody asked last week how you watch all this content. And you said, well, I'm a maniac. I watch it, everybody, a lot of things on times 2.
Yep.
And man, I just, you, there are certain people I think I could because the way they talk and it's a little slower and more deliberate. But if it's like 3 or 4 people on a panel, holy cow, like there's no way I could watch on times 2 speed. There's
Oh man,
just
I
no
love it.
way.
I love it. I mean, I've got an ear for accents most of the time. And so hearing some of these guys go back and forth, I think is hilarious. Yeah, on 2-speed. When I listen to it on 1X now, I feel like I'm going backwards.
Slow motion or backwards. Oh God. Oh no.
So when I
You
watch
got
live streams,
tractor
sometimes
beam.
I have to remind myself, okay, you're watching it live. You're watching it live.
So real quick, and I get it, Todd. Todd ceases $30 for a movie doesn't seem worth it to me anymore. And I can understand that. Trust me, I
Yeah.
definitely can. I remember the days when a matinee was like $3.75 when I was younger. And he also says neither is a paid haircut. I can understand that too.
Hey, man, I found this great person. She cut my hair for um 25 years before she retired, and then she
Wow.
passed me off to one of her friends who's grandfathered me into the rate that I was paying. So I'm still paying like $13 for a haircut.
Dude, man, I wish. Let me tell you. I wish. And I ain't got a lot, all right? Like, there ain't a lot under this hat, brother. Trust me on that. And Ronnie Trickshot is at work right now. And I figured that much. 3-star draw. He says, I'm like Rick on Pawn Stars. 1.5 speed is the best I can do.
No. Hey, 1.5 is great too, because
I do 1.5 a lot.
yeah.
I do 1.5 a lot. I will go that far. But 2 is blazing hot, man. And yes, War Chest, I know Natalie Portman was in Star Wars, damn it. Of course, and especially in the second movie. Ooh. Oh, Attack of the Clones. Rrr. That white outfit. Holy moly.
I can only watch about half that movie.
Oh gosh, or a Black Swan for that matter. Ooh, Mila Kunis. Holy moly. Eric Thurman says toy enhancer on times 7. Oh,
Oh
yeah.
man,
I
he's
can
not
I
that
can
slow.
I can
He's
put
not
him
that
up. I
slow.
can put Aaron up to 2. I can put Aaron up to 2. I think I can. I think I can. I get Aaron. Like I said, there's some people you can, and it
Yeah,
definitely helps. That's for sure.
he just did a review of
Oh,
the
that's
PowerCon
great.
Bone Brawler
Okay.
that Oh boy, that's a story for me, isn't it?
Man, oh God, I don't even. I'm gonna shut up. So listen, for some of y'all out there that do photography and stuff, I wanted Matthew to bring up some of his photographs, some of his favorite ones that he's done. I know we don't have a lot of topics tonight. It's a slow news week, and movie wise, there are some things, but I know with a lot of y'all in the chat right now that are in the toy collection sphere and do take photos. I asked him, if he would want to bring up some of his photos that he really liked or liked taking, and maybe just kind of explain the inspiration or explain how you do your lighting or your setup, your angles and stuff like that, and kind of what you look for, because you do take a lot of photos. So I kind of want to turn it over to you, man, and just kind of let you do your thing, dude. And I want to check out some of your photographs, if that's cool. If everybody in the chat is cool with that, I think
Yeah.
we can roll with that, since and I'd like to see some of your stuff too.
3-star. I need some pics right now. All right, buddy.
Yeah, he's editing right now, actually.
Yep.
But yeah, and you have control over the screen too, right? You can
Yep.
push full screen and everything.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So have at it, man. You take it away, brother.
Well, I mean, you could call me a lazy photographer if you like. I've got some access to some high-end cameras, but for the most part, I use my iPhone, and I upgraded it a while ago because it has better low light condition photography. And then I use a lot of Ulanzi lights. They've got white and full color spectrum, so I can make them whatever color I need to without putting gels on them. And then I've got these. I've got some cube lights that I use, that whites and also multicolored ones that I set up. I use tissue paper for filter sometimes, but I usually try to set up 3 to 6 lights when I go through some of this stuff. And it varies. I mean, I've got a set right back here that's pretty cool. See where we go. There we go.
I was just say, yeah, you control whatever angle you want. I just wanted to put you on full screen while you're showing off those lights and stuff. So you just go with it.
But yeah, I mean, I've got some sets back here that I'm working on, and I swap them out. The extreme sets, they work well for me. I've got some more practical ones that are 3-dimensional that work really well. But I try to set up the lighting, and I try to, do something interesting with it. Like, this one was pretty cool. A lot of these come from collabs too. I've got 5 different collaboration groups that I'm a part of, and they throw out topics, and we try to go from there. This was, this one, I try not to edit. I usually don't edit my photos. So I take them and I put them out. But on occasion, I'll do a little bit of editing. And this was one that I edited the stands. I took the stands out of it. Because I even throw in some behind the scenes there. Threw up some sets.
Okay.
Took the picture. Those were with the stands. And then I just edited out the stands with some Photoshop. But yeah, and like I said, a lot of these are collab things. So we put out topics every week, and we go from there. Like this Sunday, it's a doc theme. So I might show you some ones I'm working on there.
See, I love that. Those figures look great, though.
These Mirage Turtles are fun. I would say they are so much fun to play with. I can't wait to get the April and the Karai figure that are coming out soon. This was an interesting little lighting effect that I took over here off camera here. I did a pinpoint focal light to put on Ghost Rider there to really make the flames pop, but unfortunately it got Daredevil's head, but it's all
Okay.
right.
That
This
looks
is
cool as shit.
Midnight Run, or Marvel Knights, group up, team up there. I throw in Conan from time to time. That's been a huge inspiration for me lately. And so this is an interesting one because these three are classified, but those three in the back are the movie figures. They're like 7 POAs or something like that. So they were the $8 figures or whatever. They came out with the movie line.
Yeah.
They've got some little action features, and they're meant for kids, right? And they were cool. I gave my daughter a bunch of them, and she played with those for a little while. But these guys are cool. Those Night Creepers are really good. If you like those classified figures,
3-star loves that Night Creeper figure.
It's a really good figure.
He really likes it.
Yeah. And then this one. So this is a practical blood effect that I created down here. The topic was Fallen Soldier. And so then I took Nin, and then what I did was in Photoshop right there at the eye, I smudged it and I cloned a little bit of it, but I basically took the eyelid and I smushed it together and took out the eyeball to make it look like his eyes were closed, and just threw it in there. And then he's got, I'll show you some other ones that I did for that one behind the scenes here in a little bit, because I did some interesting things there. But this collab group's been awesome, and the Savage Crucible line of figures is really great.
And I guess something with a collab group, like just getting ideas, right? Like things maybe you haven't thought about, or whatever, right? Just doesn't matter. Maybe different tips and stuff like that. But the idea part of it, especially kind of brainstorming or bouncing stuff around off each other, is probably really cool.
Yeah, and then you can throw up stuff and say, hey, what do you think about this? Like, so for my doc picture, I threw up a quick shot that I did one night, and I said, what do you think? And they gave me some suggestions, so I'm going to go back and redo that one pretty soon for this weekend. I've got to come up with my Snake Eye Saturday. So
yeah,
my week is kind of planned out because I've got a Snake Eye Saturday, a Savage Crucible or Savage Saturday. Sunday is my main G.I. Joe collab. Monday is either Moon Knight or Mezco Mondays. Tuesdays is Turtle Tuesdays. Wednesdays is my other G.I. Joe collab, and we throw together stuff. Thursdays is sometimes an X-Men, but I haven't been real big on that one. And then I try to do a Friday night tights on Friday, so I get any superhero figure and try to do something with them. So a lot of my Batman stuff comes out on Friday. So my schedule is kind of filled, but I try to throw in a bunch of just fun stuff, like my Street Fighter stuff. I've been having to sneak in when I can. This one was really cool. I enjoyed this one a lot because these swords are the cheapest swords that you can find for 1/12 scale figures. All right, these are Marauder Gunrunner swords, and you got the katana and the wakizashi with the gold here. So they have gold and silver versions, and just the way that it caught the light, I was really happy with on this one. And to throw them up there with Zartan and Snake Eye. So that was a Snake Eye Saturday one. And then there was my Hella Dope promotion.
Right. Speaking of which, we have a commercial we need to do.
Oh yeah.
As well. We need to get that done. We promised one, so we've got to get it done. I love that right there. I think that's fantastic.
So I thought it was appropriate because this one came in from Hella Dope, and I was like, okay, well, he's got to be. And then Ted comes on there and comments, that's exactly what our warehouses look like.
And Dawson was one of those guys too. If you played the games, man, I hated fighting that dude because his freaking legs would stretch out and freaking you got hard to get around that guy.
And so I tend to throw in little Easter eggs, like this thing right here. I don't know if you can quite see it or not, but it says grape soda. It says Knox grape soda. Okay, so this was a custom piece.
Okay.
It was made for the Dreadnoks.
Yeah.
And their grape soda, and it came from Codename Iowa, and it came with a complete diorama of the cabin in the swamp cabin, and you can swap out the inside effects to make it all digital, like Zartan's technological layer, or it looks like a regular cabin. And the outside always looks like a regular cabin, and it's pretty cool looking. And so this is one of the props that came in there too. So I try to throw in that or a Totoro or something's in the background of all my stuff. And then I also have the Indiana Jones monkey over here.
I mean, that would be one of the probably like for some people, it's kind of a calling card too,
right.
in their artwork or whatever it is, to have some kind of Easter egg or some kind of fun something, in each one of their photos or in maybe a certain line of them that they do or whatever, right? I mean, it's limitless basically, right? As far as what you might want to do when you do something like that.
Yeah.
That I like that too. Cap and M. Bison.
Well, I went back and I was like, I gotta do more Marvel versus Capcom. And what better Marvel versus Capcom can you think of than Cap versus M. Bison?
Right.
I was like, okay, that's cool. And I took a whole bunch of shots of them together. Whoops.
Oh, there you go. Little. Wait a minute. I love that. I love the torch. I love the effects that he comes with. But I love that figure. But that looks really good right there too.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. And so these in the background, these are the Leonard 1/12 alien tubes. So what I did was I took the face huggers and I dyed them in black Rit dye to put like a wash on them, and then I stick them in the tubes. And these things are awesome for background pieces. This is a NECA one, but I also have a ton of the Leonard ones too that I dyed, and I love all those things because I've got so many shots of those aliens because they were so cheap. I picked them up real cheap and did a whole bunch of cool stuff with them. The torch is great. And then I had another, again, a focused light on the flames that bounced off onto the alien, and then had 4 lights above and then 1 light in the power generator room behind there. So that set's pretty awesome. I love that.
Yeah, because obviously getting the lighting on the flames, but then obviously those flames would cause light on the alien as well.
Yeah,
you would have that. Yeah, it looks great. War Chest says that flame effect looks badass as a sword. I saw that picture. Yeah, the picture with Torch just holding the flame effect. So awesome, man. It really is. It's actually super cool. And then 3 Star says that pick is nice, but I'm jealous you're able to keep Torch's torch straight. That thing is a piece of bendy crap.
And yeah, don't look too close in that picture because it's still bent in there. Because it doesn't stay straight. So I went to the dollar store and picked up some 2012 Ninja Turtle skate fingerboards. And, and threw them on the turtles here. And so I actually have them. I mean, all 3 of them are standing on skateboards. And then there's nothing edited in this picture except for I changed some of the color saturation, made it a little bit darker. But essentially, this is what came out of my camera. No stands or anything like that used with this picture here. But I just, these turtles are they're some of my favorites, for sure.
I just love the look of those figures because of the detail, the creases. You know what I mean, like the marks on the shell.
Yeah,
You know, the body.
I go back and forth between the cell shaded stuff and not, and this has just the right
Yeah,
kind of animated look.
yeah, I do. I actually really like that on those. Now, it might not be always the case on everything, but I like them on those figures in that color.
So
Um,
when they do it like this, I do like it. When they go for cell shaded, I hate it. I hate cell shaded figures. And so
okay.
they've got that Daredevil cell shaded one that just looks terrible in my opinion. But you know, it gives it a dramatic effect, but only if you light it a very specific way.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like a McFarlane thing because he'll do that a lot too.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean I mean obviously a good camera, but having the right lighting,
yeah,
obviously with any photography. I mean, and actually, I don't know if you've seen, War Chest actually has a hell of a
yeah,
portfolio.
oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
oh
he
my
does.
goodness gracious! And so whether that's live, or whether that's action figures or whatever it is, car, whatever it is, inanimate or otherwise, like yeah, the lighting obviously, and a lot of people that first start out, you just like you have to learn that, right? Like you have to really learn it. You take pictures, you go, why is it so flat? Why
Yeah,
does it look so flat looking, or why is it, and it's like you learn from other people, you see other people, you borrow from here, you borrow from there, you start making your own kind of light covers or whatever it is, right? And to learn how to get really good photographs, but then also your ISO, right?
yep,
Like the correct ISO, and learning how to use a camera,
yep.
period, right?
Well,
Can make all such a difference.
things have changed so much because back in the '90s, I did a lot more of actual photography work and film work, and it's very different with the digital age. But they still have the same kind of markers, so you can play with it. And with the right camera, you can do it. Even with the iPhone, you can do it to a degree if you know how to play with it. I haven't played with it too much on my iPhone, and I need to. But this one here was inspired because reading comic books, and they killed off Mark Spector, and then this was the issue last week where they actually resurrected him and brought him back, and it's about a big crossover with a bunch of vampires that are taking over the Marvel universe, and so Moon Knight comes back out with a vengeance, and he sends his people out, and so you've got um, Tigre going one place and Moon Knight going another, and his brother going another. But Khonshu gets freed from the Asgard prison to resurrect Mark and stuff like that to fight the vampires. So I just had to set up something for
And I'm
that.
guessing for the cape, you have like a wire that's like almost like pipe cleaner, but like wire of some kind, or is that
Oh yeah, so
where where you can do clothing like that?
all of my Moon Knights have custom capes that I've gotten from different people
Oh, okay,
on Etsy that made specific capes for Moon Knight. So I've got one for the TV show Moon Knight, which is a little grayer, and then I've got one for my all white Moon Knight, and then this one. This one's probably my favorite that I use for this black and white Moon Knight. And then I have the wired one that comes with the Amazing Yamaguchi Moon Knight. So the wired capes are awesome. And so my Bela Lugosi Dracula here, he's got a wired cape. The standard Jada, these are our Jada monster figures here.
okay,
But and so this Jada Dracula does not have a wired cape. This Jada is the Bela Lugosi Dracula, and he does have a wired cape.
okay. I figured to be able to get, like, especially when it comes to action
Yeah.
photos, and
Oh
having that
yeah.
realistic look, the flow of a cape or whatever, right? And obviously that's the way to do it. Um,
And
I
so
love I love that right there. That's
yeah,
cool.
I try to take my photos when the sun's down in a dark room that I have all blocked out, so that I can control all the aspects of lighting. Um,
Right.
except for when I go outside and do this at night.
This one was fun though, because I saw this one and yeah, this one is fun. I like this one too.
So yeah, I did a whole series with this, which I'll show you, and then kind of behind the scenes too. But yeah, this one was a lot of fun. I messed with the lighting a lot on this one, just to try and to make sure everything was clear. Um, you know, this has no lighting. This is straight outdoors. Well, I took a reflector with me. I'm not sure if I used it for this shot exactly or not, but this is all natural lighting.
Yeah,
You can kind of see the difference there. But yeah, I thought it brought out the details. These things are so detailed. The paint on these things are amazing.
yeah, they look fantastic.
I can't say enough for this company and what they're doing.
This is cool too. I love it. The pose, man, like both poses. Casey Jones trying to take on Snake Eyes with Big Boa in the background, and who's that? Mr. Miyagi,
Yep.
M. Bison, Bane, Chun Li. Yeah, Indiana Jones. That's freaking great, dude.
I just love throwing stuff in the background that people get a kick out of.
3 Star says, "Hey Matthew, I finally found that Deadpool Legacy series that just came up. The one I saw the day I saw the movie and didn't buy. And I remember him talking about that actually, or came out, not came up, but
Yeah.
came out. And then War Chest, maybe this is something you'll definitely understand. Studio lighting, flash off, camera, flash, high speed, sync, and now everybody wants to use consistent light with LED. It's a crazy journey with lighting.
Yeah, if you're using a flash, you have to use it right. My wife is the professional photographer, and her specialty is outdoor photography. Her stuff is absolutely amazing. What she's done with natural lighting combined with reflectors and bounce lighting to get the right effect for certain things. Lighting is a challenge, and I always think of it as a canvas. And what do you need to have? It's not like not the effect that you want, but what do you need to have? And I've started playing a lot with like a 3-light setup with a blue light, a red light, and a white light. And so the blue and the red fill in each side of the background, and then the white is in front to highlight what I want highlighted, but still have the darkness, the shadows, the evening effect of the red and blue, and that's interesting to me. But something I'm playing with right now.
And then Eric says, "Is that 00?"
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my 00. And he also, like I said, my 00's got Marauder's swords that I throw on him there. So he's got the katana and wakizashi from Marauders. And then I painted the grenades because I just
they look smooth, man. The green grenades and
I couldn't stand having just the black grenades on there. I'm like, come on, really?
Yeah, Eric mentioned that earlier too with the green grenades.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it definitely pops. I like that too.
Yeah, but 00 is my favorite ninja version of Snake Eyes right now. The one that came with the white timber.
Yeah.
I put a Resolute head on, so he's my Resolute Snake Eyes. The one that came with the gray timber, I painted and made Snake Eyes version 4. And then I have my Snake Eyes 02, which I made Snake Eyes version 3. So he's got the butterfly knives on the chest, and I silvered his visor and did that whole kind of thing with them. So, I've got my different versions of Snake Eyes.
Well, it's funny because they've given them to us in that combination, right? Like they've given us a little bit of this one, and then this one, and this one, and a little bit of the parts that we like, and hopefully we'll get finally that final class. I just want that V2 is kind of my my ultimate. But I love this photo too, with the Shadow and Batman. I dig the.
I played with this a lot. I wanted it to be darker than it is, but
I can
I
understand
needed the
that.
harshness of the shadow.
Yeah,
And this whole setup here. This is a comic book cover or panel from an issue of Batman, and that's where I get a lot of my inspiration. So I'm always copying other photographers or other pieces of art that I've seen and trying to mimic what they're doing. Yeah, that's Veteran Williams. Yep. um,
um,
he's my favorite werewolf for sure.
yeah, I do love it, and I get it. I understand you want to make it darker, but then how do you know, as far as your shadow though, trying to get like that shadow to show up the way you want it to. Um, cool
This
Daredevil.
figure and this body is amazing for Marvel Legends. When they started doing this and they put it on a Spider-Man, it's a little big for Spider-Man, but it still works. But for Daredevil, this was perfect. This is my favorite Daredevil. I wish the DD was a little bit different or lined or something, but other
Yeah,
than that, the figure's phenomenal. I love that one. Um,
there you go.
the victory poses.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
But yeah, I mean, these guys again, throwing Jack Kirby in the background. I love doing that too. Just having him do
That's
stuff in the
cool. Yeah,
background.
no. Yeah. I just, man, I'm telling you though, I really, oh, that's great right there. That's fantastic.
That was a whole scene. So this was the '86, right? So I try to put in as many figures from '86 that I could. Um, you've got Serpentor and Mindbender and Slaughter and Zorana, Viper and Bat
Yeah.
um, Low Light. I couldn't fit everybody in this picture that we actually have classifieds for, but I thought I did pretty good.
That's a pretty good, yeah, I was gonna say, that's pretty good. You pretty good job getting as many in as you can. Uh, yeah, I love that, and the table, I love the table. Yeah, any cool custom pieces like that, or any cool, like that, especially when Mindbender came out, it's that super cool laboratory kind of setup that you saw come out that was being
Oh,
printed.
I did
Uh,
some way while back when I first got Mindbender that were so awesome with the skulls on the desk and the laboratory in the background and stuff. A guy underneath the sheet and everything. It was pretty cool.
yeah,
but
man.
but yeah, I mean, I'm posting stuff every day. I've always got something interesting I'm trying to work on. Trying not to use stands when I don't have to, like this one here. Um, you know, just having him kind of propped up kind of on the barrel and then having the animals go after each other. And
So when you're I mean, obviously when you're not using a stand, damn, that's awesome. Holy moly.
I
That's
made all those
great.
blood effects. So all of those are handmade
What do you
with
use?
hot glue and Citadel paint blood for the blood god. So I draw them out on there. And so like this one on the sword here, what I actually did was I took one of the Marauders katanas. I put a little saran wrap around it, and then I coated it in hot glue, and then dripped off the hot glue, and then I painted it so that piece will actually fit on a katana. I can slide it onto the blade, so it'll stay on the blade without any sticky tack or anything, and it'll be like it's slicing through somebody. It wouldn't on this one, so I had to use sticky tack there. And then the other two are I would have something, and then I would drip the hot glue off of it, and then I would paint it. And so I have a little cap that I did for the one that's coming up, and then one that's going down. I think I put some saran wrap on a figure, and then put it around their neck and had it drip down, and then painted those so that I could do the up effect, the down effect, and then with the up effect, I just kind of put the head in the up effect because it'll hold it there. and then put the other piece on the blade, and that's all natural lighting, so there's no extra lighting there either.
It just looks super cool, man. Like that's, I mean, really, that's a striking photo right there. Even with just natural light, and yeah, that's badass. It really is.
So this is one of my digital edits. I throw it into Photoshop, and I just cut out the background to put up a background.
Okay. You can't unless you really study it. You know what I mean? Like obviously, if you had like dioramas and with the buildings and all that, the lighting and everything, but like, if you study the picture hard, but just
I try to
looking
do
at it,
everything as
it's good.
practical as I can. And so sometimes I'll use a TV screen behind what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But sometimes I just have to cut out the background and say here,
Yeah. Oh man. That's a battle some people would love to see. Jinx and Chun-Li. Gotta love the Dreadnoks, man. Anything you can get where you can get them in all together
had
and
fun with
hanging
those
out.
guys.
Yeah, man.
Love these turtles. So this one
There you
here,
go.
this was inspired. I did actually a couple, but it was inspired from the Savage Sword of Conan. These books are awesome.
Yeah.
If you like good comic books or storytelling, the Savage Sword offers a bunch of different lore. So it's not just Conan. It's Conan. It's got a Solomon Kane story, and then it's got a lot of lore back behind it too. But yeah, I just I find stuff that inspires me, art wise, comic book wise, and just kind of go through things. And these figures over here, these Cobra Kais are awesome. I love those guys.
That one's a good figure too. That picture there, I actually really like that picture as well. With the Cobra Kai and the Dojo, and Bane is kicking, punching Kreese in the face. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's an Extreme Sets Dojo, and this is a pair of chopsticks I got from Japan. That's a Snake Eye 00 weapons holder, and then the Icon Heroes Cobra Kai set with Kreese, and then the Moff X Bane.
I actually found, those 00s. It just depends on how you find them and how much you want to pay, right?
Yeah.
But I had seen where it was like yesterday, the Korean version they're selling. I think you can find it for like $60, $65, $64, but it's a Korean version,
right?
And does that make a difference? I guess, but
well, I mean,
I don't know what's
factory tolerances are different. You never know.
Yeah,
and if you can find, I mean, the American release of it was probably the best classified figure that they've made, with the plastic density and all that kind of stuff. So this right here, Bobby, is Creo. So these were all from minifigs. So each one of these blocks came with an individual minifig in the Creo line. Because if I flip that around, they all say Creo on every brick. And they either came in black or red for the figure stand that you could put them on. And they were single bricks. And I had this huge collection of them, and they weren't being used for anything else. So I'm like, well, they're black and red, so I can make an Arashikage logo out of it.
That looks awesome.
So I use this in a lot of the background of my dojo photos. That's
cool.
I kind of like this one too. I thought that was fun.
Yeah. And the lighting on that one that you had, where was it Casey Jones and Raphael on the corner there?
Yeah.
I like that contrast there.
So I've got the NECA street scene, and I wired it so it's got LED stick lights that go around the overhangs, and then it goes inside and it goes in the background, because I put the Extreme Sets bar dial inside of this dial right here. So it's actually, so if you look through the windows, you see the Extreme Sets bar inside of it.
Oh, cool.
And the second story, I've got some other stuff, but I wired it all for lighting. So they have light that comes down from on top. And then I put a blue light on Casey, and then I put another yellowish white light on Raph, so that you would have the two different light contrasts there.
Yeah, yeah, no, I love the look of that picture.
It's close to the comic.
I mean,
cover.
The shadows. I mean,
yeah. But yeah, I try to do stuff with posing, and I kind of like the lighting on this one.
yeah, that's what I was gonna ask you. I guess when it comes to not using stands and all that kind of stuff, when you're doing your posing and you're getting somebody who's being knocked back, or you're getting someone who's falling forward, or you're getting, how are you pulling some of that stuff off, like with pegs, or are you, do you in the feet, or anything, you know what I mean? Like how do you kind of to do that when somebody's off balance or whatever?
A lot of these figures do really well if you frame it correctly.
Okay.
Right. So there are there are no stands in this one here. So Crocmaster is on his shin, his knees, one leg up, one leg down, leaning back kind of thing. I try to pose them as best that I can to get the desired effect without anything. But if not, I took I've made a bunch of these. I mean, I'll use Mezco stands. I'll use some stands that I got off the internet. Ubiquitous stands. I use some coat hangers. So I can take apart a coat hanger and cut it up and make 3 stands, right? So they have a little base and a piece that sticks up.
Yeah.
And then I just form it the way I want it to. Put a little rubber tip on it or something like that, and then stick it up the figure's butt, and I can do almost anything.
Well, listen, you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. I mean, it's Eddie Murphy could tell you all about that.
And I did one recently where I took that stand and I stuck it in the belt loop on their back, because I wanted them leaning up against it a little bit. And then I put a Hello Dope crate in front of it so that you couldn't see the stand. And I try to hide the stands if I can.
Yeah. You just frame the picture the right way, and you hide what you can.
But sometimes I have to just erase them in Photoshop or whatever.
Well,
this Roddy Piper figure is awesome, and then I had a custom T-shirt made for him.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that. I love it, and Mr. T back there, going toe to toe with Big Boa.
Yeah, so those
and Sarge, right?
Yep.
And Sarge, that's appropriate for the wrestlers too.
So yeah, those 2 were WWE Elite figures. I got the Elite Mr. T one with the Hogan gear.
Yeah,
he had some great heads that they work great on the Joes. They worked perfect. So I used those up there.
My sister still has the WrestleMania program with Hogan and Mr. T.
Oh, that's awesome.
She went and saw it at closed circuit TV here in Nashville at a performance venue. They showed it on closed circuit television, and she brought back the program, and it's that what it looks like, that the cover of that program with Mr. T and Hulk Hogan standing like side by side. I'll bring it up in a second.
Nice.
But go ahead. I didn't want to interrupt you.
This is the newest version of the Roddy Piper Elite figure. But I used the head from the old Roddy Piper figure that they had. So I put that head on, and then I had the custom shirt made because the old version didn't have the leather jacket. So he's got swappable arms. So you can take the leather jacket off and have regular arms on there. You could take the kilt off and have him in his blue trunks. And so I can have either version of it now. But I like this head better than the one that came with the this Elite, because this Elite version had the short hair Roddy Piper,
Okay.
and I didn't like that as much.
He was basically one of my like two favorite wrestlers.
Oh man, Roddy was amazing.
Yeah, I love it.
I loved him. This
Yeah.
one right here, this is
There you
a
go.
cover of Savage Sword of Conan, just modified with one of my favorite figures ever, Conan, the Mezco one, and Veteran Williams. So two of my favorite figures ever are put in this shot.
It looks like, do you remember the video game Rastan?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, dude. Rastan was the bum, and that it reminds me sometimes when I see some of these like that, I'm like, Rastan.
But yeah, so this issue was the inspiration for that picture there. I didn't have the snow background or anything.
Okay.
But
yeah,
I did slightly different, but you see where I'm going with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that was awesome stuff.
Yeah, man. 3-star says it's been a minute since I heard a Rastan reference. That game was the jam, dude, back in the day. Arcade and otherwise. There's some Link. There's Link and Skeksis. What is that?
So those are both Savage Crucible, right? So I've got
They
two
look
Savage
like
Crucible,
Skeksis.
Mythic Legions, and Link in there.
That's awesome. And it fits perfectly for Legend of Zelda, you know.
Yeah.
Reference.
I mean, this was a Savage Saturday, another Savage Saturday post, getting the team together.
Yeah.
Now this one's interesting.
So is that a effect?
No. So
is that a Photoshop effect?
No, there's no digital effect on this.
Really?
No.
Okay.
So this was a Tashi Station background with my Hawk figure, and I put a white light off to one side, and then I took a focused yellow light and put it on a Valverse blast effect coming out of the gun. So that is a Valverse blast effect hit with the direct orangish light of a focused Loom Cube.
Okay.
And so it lights that up and then puts the reflection back onto Hawk there. So he gets some of that blasting effect from the gun being fired.
It looks good, and with the shadowing too from the light, that's a good face sculpt.
It is a good face sculpt.
Like the cheeks and the a little worn, weathered look for somebody. But somebody a little older. Yeah, man, that is like that. It makes that face sculpt really pop with that lighting on there.
Let's see if I can find.
Damn good.
Should like the lighting on this one too.
Yeah, man. I like the Crimson Twins and the Crimson Pack, the 3-pack. I dig it. I mean, it
was too expensive for what it was, but I do like it. Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. I know a lot of people are not as hyped on that, but I don't know. It's the color. I think the color does it for me. And anytime I can get a Baroness, yeah, I'm A-okay with that. That's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
It's got some simple lights, some backlighting. Got two guys coming around and waiting around to ambush them.
Now, have you ever thought about doing any stop motion?
I have done. Actually, let's see. A couple of them I put up here. Let's see if I can see. I don't know how to get to it from here.
That's all right. I mean, I
reels. Reels, I guess.
Okay, I was gonna say because I know that I don't know, being the Instagram fanatic that I am. Anybody knows I'm terrible. I swear, keeping up with my messages.
This is one of the first ones that I did.
Okay.
So they're practicing, and then they get ambushed by a red ninja, and they shoot him in the face.
Oh, nice. Nice. Yeah, man. Like I just had wondered that because as many photos as you take, I wondered if that was something where it's just like, oh, let me mess around a little bit with this. I know how much time it takes. It's amazingly
Yeah.
ridiculous how much time it takes if you really are trying to make one, at a certain kind of frame per second, idea where it's super fluid or whatever.
I used to do these. I don't do them as much anymore. But I used to do some behind the scenes. I just didn't
Yeah,
know how they played or not when I was doing different things.
yeah. Um, I
Because the dusty fix for people that didn't know about putting the
Oh
goggles on
yeah,
backwards for
yeah,
the
yep,
helmet.
yep, 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 yep.
But you can see some of my setup there for the science table and crates and stuff.
So I want to tell you something that I didn't even realize, and it's just because I haven't listened or I haven't watched or I haven't heard anybody. But 3 Star was talking about the Sergeant Slaughters that got shipped out that weren't wearing the glasses and the hat.
Yep.
And had not heard about that. Um,
Okay.
and it's maybe just because I haven't been on one of the like the classified group on Facebook, maybe, or like I said, I do great to check my Instagram messages, like and I get behind on that sometimes. I feel terrible about it. Um, but yeah, when he mentioned that, I did not actually know that. But he and 3 Star, I'm pretty sure yours did come with the glasses and the hat on, if I remember correctly from what you had texted me. But that I guess some of those ones already went out because he had not given the approval. Um,
Yep.
you know,
So yeah, they I don't know how many of them were released that way, but the majority of them should be hat and glasses on.
okay.
That's the release that was approved that was in higher production, but they had already released the other ones, I think, or something, or they were already done. And so there's some out there with the hat and glasses off. So that's a variant that will be sought after by some. But yeah,
Sure. Eric Thurman said that sequence is fire. And I'm guessing he's talking about the one that you're either on or had just gone through. I love that one rappelling off that golden cobra head.
so
Uh
well,
that was super cool.
if you know, you know, because this is every single panel of issue 21. That's what. Yeah.
Oh
So
yeah. Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I did every single panel in order of issue 21, and I think there's actually one or two panels that I didn't do, but they were like the radar dish and that kind of thing. But everything else I did, and I try to put it in order so it was just like exactly like the comic book.
Yeah, man. Yeah. But like panel to panel?
Yep.
Yep.
And so proportion wise, it's a little bit different, but for the most part,
Yeah.
there it is. Boom.
Yeah. That's great, man. I mean, the thing of it is, I mean, ultimately is if you really enjoy it, then it's got to be fun for you setting up and trying to make sure that the poses are correct when you're doing that as much as you can, and trying to be creative with positioning and then the angle, getting the angle right, especially when
Yep.
you're trying to mimic comic panels, you know. But
And so I did all this back in 2021.
Okay,
So the only figures that were out were like Wave One and some Cobra Islands and stuff like that. Or I guess Wave Two was out because Cobra Commander was there. But the Frush Ninja and some other. That's a 3 3/4 aircraft.
okay.
And so I had to throw it all together. That was the McFarlane snakes
Whoa,
that I took the tail off and painted
wait a minute.
gold.
Those poses looked a little questionable. Wait a
What?
minute, Scarlett. What are you doing there?
Straight from the comic book, man. Straight from the comic book.
No. I love it. That's great. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's super cool.
And then
Yeah.
Larry Hama actually asked me, "Hey, what'd you use for the bobby pin?" And I said it was a 1/18 scales suppressor.
And 3 Star says Scarlett cosplaying as Hawk Tua. that's 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 as good as it gets. That's fantastic. Yeah, and I mean, if you collected the comics, you definitely remember this issue. And I used to draw, I used to sketch out of this issue, and there were certain panels that I like to draw, and one of them was the 3 panel where Snake Eyes, goes and slashes and then flips over, like does the flip over. It's like 3 panels, I guess, or whatever. Does a somersault.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I used to love drawing out of that particular comic. Um, I gotta, I need to dig some of my sketches up. I'll have to bring some of them up and show some of them off. I need to remember to do that. Um, there's some pretty cool stuff that I used to sketch. But yeah, man, like I know that a lot of people have gone to your Instagram and looked and everything, but I thought, with uh why not take the opportunity to show some of your stuff off here and you know get an idea of how you came about or certain lighting that you used or what you like to do with it, especially for those out there that are you know taking pictures of their figures um and doing exactly what you're doing, and maybe they're just starting out, um or have been doing it for a while and they've got their own technique.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, like it's freaking awesome stuff. And
Thank you.
when I get on my
Appreciate it. And letting you guys see it. I just hit 2,000 followers not too long ago.
yeah, man.
I've been posting just about every day. It's a little higher than every day if you average it from 2020.
Okay.
But yeah.
I mean that's what it takes to build up and get people following and checking it out, right? I mean, you're consistent and obviously you like doing it, and that helps, right? I mean, if you
Yeah.
were having to doing let's say if it was for a job or it was what you had to do for a living and you weren't as into it, then maybe you wouldn't feel the same way about it. I know people like that. um and then you have excuse me, then you have people who are like into the creature making, like what used to be in the
Yeah.
Henson shops and the, stuff for the Star Wars movies and whatever else, all the critters and this and that. It's like people that just love that industry and love being in that prop making kind of stuff. And being involved with that. I can't even imagine what it would have been like to work on Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back with the miniatures and having to judge how to shoot the ships, and having them on a string and all that kind of stuff with the fireworks shooting out the ass end and all that kind of stuff. That was probably absolutely amazing to work on, dude. Like I love watching those documentaries too.
Yeah.
Here, I want to show you real quick. This was the cover I was talking about right here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. This was WrestleMania, was it March of I guess it only goes, what was it, March of 85 maybe? I
Wow.
think. Anyway, yeah, Mr. T and the gold trunks and all the gold chains, and this is like that kind of airbrush,
Yep.
or whatever. But yeah, she still has this program from that back
That's
way back
awesome.
when. Yeah, it's pretty neat. Well, look, man, it's about 11:30 almost, and we chewed up some time, but I did want to show your stuff off, and I was really interested in you going over it, man, for sure. And for anybody watching the replay, obviously go check out Matthew's Instagram. You can go ahead and give it out now. You might as well.
Yeah, Mamu's action figure blog, and then I post some of my B-sides and some of my other stuff that I don't get to post on a regular basis on Mamu's action figure blog too. So both of those are worth checking out. And the my secondary ones, my backup, I created when Instagram pulls shenanigans. And but it turns out that I can post some of my B-sides or my in between stuff over there. Thank you very much, Eric. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thank you, Eric. And I appreciate anybody and everybody tuning in and for you guys sticking with us and hanging out for a couple and a half hours, man. Kind of a laid back stream tonight. I figured we could take a week and just kind of chill on the news front and not have to just sit there and dig for stories that may or may not be that interesting. You know, it's sometimes it just lays itself out. And I kind of wanted to have one of these where I could kick back and actually let you kind of take over and look at your photos, man. So
I appreciate it.
yeah, man. No, I appreciate it. It's always a pleasure every week. And next week we'll be back at 10 p.m. Eastern time. 9 p.m. for those of you in the Central Standard time frame, like I am. But yeah, I'll obviously put out a reminder, and we'll grab some more stories, try to find some more movie news, and maybe next week I'll give you my take on Alien Romulus then. But we're always up for checking out new stuff and finding out about new shows. And next week, actually, I think what we will do, Matthew, if you want to, is we will probably pull some trailers up. Maybe
there's definitely some trailers to go through right now.
Absolutely.
Joker and some other stuff that's going on. And we can talk about some of the discussions going on with that, because there have been some discussions lately about that Joker movie too. So.
Yeah. Yep. So thank you, 3-star Todd C. Well, you will be able to catch me tomorrow night. I love that one, by the way. You'll be able to catch me tomorrow night on Sevens Wild on 3-Star Draws channel. We will be going over the 10 G.I. Joe classified figures that we would give the boot to and kick out of the line. So that's going to be our main topic, but we'll have some other stuff to talk about. And then real quick, Todd C had a quick question here. He says, quick question, is a risk to back. Wait, you might have to catch this because no, never mind. Okay, he says never mind. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. I was like, I don't know what that is, but 3-star he's all over that. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, but you can catch me tomorrow night on 3-Star Draws channel, and it's the Sevens Wild, and I am Pop Blender. Thank you everybody for hanging out tonight and chilling with us and having a good little stream, man. Really appreciate it. Hit that like button, catch the replay, and go back and maybe check out a couple of these other streams if you get a chance. Really do appreciate it, Matthew, as always. And I will see you next week, brother.
All right, man.
All right, buddy. Y'all have a good night. Thank you.